The thunder crashed overhead as Jake Morrison wiped grease from his hands. His small repair shop sat alone on the edge of town, surrounded by thick woods and empty fields. At 42, Jake had been fixing cars and trucks for 20 years. His wife Maria had died 3 years ago, leaving him to raise their 8-year-old daughter Emma by himself. "Dad, the lights went out again." Emma called from their house behind the shop. "I'll fix the generator in a minute, sweetheart." Jake shouted back. The storm was getting worse. Lightning lit up the dark sky every few seconds. That's when he heard the crash. It wasn't thunder. It was something big hitting the ground hard in the woods behind his property. Jake grabbed his flashlight and rain jacket. He thought maybe a tree had fallen, or someone had crashed their car on the back road. But what he found was impossible. A huge ship sat in a clearing, half buried in the mud. It was bigger than his house, made of smooth metal that seemed to change color in his flashlight beam. Strange symbols glowed faintly along its sides. One part of the ship was cracked open, with steam rising from inside. Jake's military training kicked in. He had been a mechanic in the Army before Emma was born. He knew when someone needed help. Inside the ship, he found her. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with blue-gray skin and long silver hair. Her clothes looked like they were made from liquid metal. Blood ran from a cut on her forehead. She was breathing but wouldn't wake up. Jake checked her pulse. It was strong but fast. He couldn't move her alone. She was too heavy. Instead, he ran back to his shop and got his medical kit. Maria had been a nurse, and she had taught him basic first aid. He cleaned the woman's wounds and bandaged them. She had a broken arm, so he made a simple splint. Her breathing got better after he cleared some blue fluid from her mouth. Then Jake looked at the ship itself. Despite the alien design, he could see familiar patterns. Power conduits ran along the walls like electrical wires. Coolant pipes carried some kind of liquid through the ship. A large engine sat in the back, silent and dark. Jake traced the power system with his flashlight. 3 main power cells had been damaged in the crash. Cooling lines had burst, leaking their contents onto the floor. The engine's fuel injectors were clogged with debris. "Just like fixing a big truck," Jake muttered to himself. He spent the next 6 hours working on the ship. He couldn't replace the alien power cells, but he could bypass them. Jake ran heavy cables from his shop's generator to the ship. He sealed the coolant leaks with industrial epoxy and refilled the system with antifreeze from his garage. The hardest part was the engine. Jake had to crawl inside it with his tools, cleaning out debris and realigning bent components. The fuel was unlike anything on Earth, but the injection system worked like a diesel engine. He adjusted the timing and cleared the block lines. As dawn broke, Jake connected the last cable. The ship hummed to life. Lights flickered on throughout the interior. The engine started with a deep musical sound. The alien woman's eyes opened. They were bright gold, like Emma's cat's eyes in the dark. She sat up slowly, looking around in confusion. When she saw Jake, she spoke in a musical language he didn't understand. "Easy there," Jake said, showing his empty hands. "You were hurt. I fix you up." The woman touched a bandage on her head. She looked at her splinted arm, then at Jake. Something changed in her expression. Surprise, maybe gratitude. She spoke again, and this time Jake heard English mixed with the alien words. "You help me?" she asked. Her voice was deep and melodic. "Yeah, you were pretty banged up. Your ship too, but I got it running again." She stared at him for a long moment. Then she stood up carefully and walked to a control panel. Her fingers moved over symbols that glowed at her touch. Information scrolled across screens faster than Jake could follow. "Impossible," she whispered in perfect English. The quantum resonance chamber was destroyed. The gravimetric stabilizers were offline. "How did you—" "I just used what I had." Jake shrugged. "Your power cells were fried, so I hooked you up to my generator. Your coolant system had some leaks, but epoxy works on just about anything. The engine was clogged up, but engines are engines." The woman looked at him like he had performed magic. "You repaired technology that most galactic engineers cannot understand." "Ma'am, I've been fixing things since I was Emma's age. Everything breaks the same way, and everything can be fixed if you think about it right." "Emma?" My daughter. She's 8, sleeping in the house. Look, I don't know who you are or where you come from, but you look like you could use some food and rest. Why don't you come inside?" The woman studied Jake's face for a long time. Finally, she nodded. "My name is Vera," she said simply. "Jake Morrison. Nice to meet you, Vera." As they walked toward his house, Vera looked back at her ship. The primitive human had accomplished in one night what should have taken weeks with proper equipment. She had never met anyone like him. Jake made coffee and scrambled eggs while Vera sat at his kitchen table. Emma wandered in, rubbing sleep from her eyes. "Dad, who's the blue lady?" "This is Vera. She had car trouble, so she's staying with us for a bit." Emma stared at Vera with the fearless curiosity of a child. "Are you from space?" Vera smiled for the first time since the crash. "Yes, little one. Is that okay?" "That's so cool. Can I see your spaceship?" "Emma, let Vera eat first," Jake said. "She's had a long night." As they ate, Vera watched Jake help Emma get ready for school. He braided her hair, packed her lunch, and checked her homework. When the school bus came, he kissed her goodbye and reminded her to call if she needed anything. Simple, kind, protective. Vera had never seen anything like it. "You care for her well," Vera said when they were alone. "She's all I got left," Jake replied. "Her mom died in a car accident 3 years ago. It's just been me and Emma since then." Something in Vera's chest tightened. This human male was raising a child alone, working with his hands, living simply, in her world. Such dedication, without reward, was unknown. "How long will you need to fix your ship properly?" Jake asked. Vera calculated quickly. The repairs Jake had made would get her home, but barely. A proper fix would take weeks. But going home meant returning to a world of politics, assassination attempts, and endless duties. Here, she was just Vera. Here, someone had helped her without asking for anything in return. "Several weeks, I think," she said. "The damage was extensive." Jake nodded. "Well, you're welcome to stay. Emma would love having someone to talk to about space stuff. I can't tell a planet from a star." "You let me stay? A stranger?" "You're not a stranger. You're Vera, and you need help. That's enough for me." For the first time in her life, someone had offered her kindness without knowing who she was or what she could give them. Vera felt tears in her eyes, a human emotion she was learning to understand. "Thank you, Jake Morrison," she said quietly. Outside, storm clouds were clearing. Vera's ship sat hidden in the woods, repaired by human hands and human ingenuity. Neither Jake nor Vera knew that decision would change both their lives forever. 3 weeks passed like a dream Jake didn't want to wake up from. Vera fit into their small family as if she had always been there. She learned to make pancakes for Emma's breakfast, though she always made them perfectly round and exactly the same size. She helped Jake in the repair shop, lifting engine blocks that normally required his hydraulic jack. "How are you so strong?" Jake asked one morning, watching Vera effortlessly carry a transmission to his workbench. "My people are adapted for higher gravity," Vera explained. "Your world feels light to me." Emma was fascinated by everything about Vera. She asked endless questions about space, aliens, and other planets. Vera answered carefully, describing distant worlds as if they were places she had only heard about in stories. "Are there kids on other planets?" Emma asked one evening while they watched the stars from Jake's back porch. "Yes, many children. They play games and learn things just like you." "Do they go to school?" "Some do. Others learn from their families or from computer teachers." "That sounds cool. I wish I had a computer teacher. Mrs. Johnson gives too much homework." Vera smiled. Emma's innocence reminded her why she had originally wanted to serve her people, to protect worlds where children could grow up safe and curious. Jake noticed how Vera sometimes stared at the stars with a sad look in her golden eyes. She had nightmares too, crying out in her alien language during the night. But during the day, she seemed happy helping around the house and shop. "You're running from something," Jake said one evening after Emma had gone to bed. They were sitting on his porch, sharing a beer. Vera had developed a taste for human alcohol, though it barely affected her. "Yes," she said simply. Bad people. Very bad people. Jake nodded. He had been a soldier once. He knew the look of someone who had seen violence. Well, they have to get through me to hurt you here. Vera looked at him in surprise. This human male, who could barely lift half what she could, was offering to protect her. It was both touching and heartbreaking. Jake, you don't understand what kind of enemies I have. Don't matter. You're part of this family now. We protect each other. That night, Vera lay in the small guest room thinking about Jake's words. In her world, protection came from armies, spies, and political alliances. Here, it came from a single father who meant what he said. The next morning, Emma was sick with a fever. Jake wanted to stay home from work, but he had 3 repair jobs that needed finishing. I will care for her, Vera offered. Are you sure? Kids can be a lot of work when they're sick. I helped raise my younger sister when she was ill. I know what to do. Jake showed Vera where the medicine was and left his phone number by the bedside. All day, he worried about Emma and called every hour to check on them. Vera spent the day reading to Emma, making soup, and keeping cold cloths on her forehead. When Emma's fever got worse, Vera used techniques from her world, gentle pressure points that ease pain and breathing exercises that clear congestion. By evening, Emma was feeling better. Vera's like magic, Dad, Emma said when Jake got home. She made the hurt go away just by touching my back. Jake looked at Vera with new respect. Thank you. I don't know what I would have done without you today. You would have managed. You always do. But Jake was learning that having help, having someone to share the load, made everything easier. Vera was learning too. She watched Jake work 16-hour days to pay their bills, never complaining. She saw him give up things he wanted so Emma could have new school clothes. She noticed how he checked on Emma 3 times every night, just to make sure she was breathing peacefully. This was what real love looked like, not the political marriages and strategic alliances of her world, but daily sacrifice and constant care. One afternoon, while Jake was under a car and Emma was at school, Vera received a signal on a hidden communicator in her ship. The message was brief and coded, but the meaning was clear. Her enemies were closing in. She had perhaps days before they found Earth. That evening, Jake noticed Vera was quiet during dinner. Everything okay? He asked. Yes, just thinking about repairs to my ship. It's almost ready. Emma looked up from her mashed potatoes. You mean you're leaving soon? Yes. Eventually I must go home. Emma's face fell. But I don't want you to leave. Can't you stay here with us? Jake saw tears forming in his daughter's eyes. Vera has her own life, her own family. She can't stay here forever. Why not? She likes it here. Don't you, Vera? Vera looked at Emma's hopeful face, then at Jake's understanding one. These people had given her something she had never known, a home based on love instead of duty. I do like it here, Emma, more than anywhere I've ever been. Then stay. It's not that simple, sweetheart, Jake said gently. Sometimes grown-ups have responsibilities they can't walk away from. Later, after Emma was asleep, Jake found Vera on the porch again. You really do have to go, don't you? He said. Yes. Soon. Vera nodded, not trusting her voice. Jake sat beside her. I'm going to miss you. We both are. I will miss you too, more than you know. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Neither of them said what they were both thinking. That leaving felt like tearing apart a family that had somehow formed without anyone planning it. Will we ever see you again? Jake asked. Vera wanted to say yes, but she couldn't make promises she might not be able to keep. I hope so. 3 days later, Vera's scanners detected ships entering Earth's outer solar system. Advanced vessels, invisible to human technology, moving in search patterns. They had found her. That night, Vera began preparing to leave. She worked on her ship in secret, making final repairs and checking systems. Everything Jake had fixed was holding perfectly. His simple solutions were more reliable than the complex systems she had grown up with. As dawn approached, Vera made a decision. She had to tell them the truth, at least part of it. They deserved to know why she was leaving so suddenly. She found Jake in the kitchen, making coffee before work. "Jake, I need to tell you something important." He turned to look at her and saw something in her expression that made him set down his coffee cup. "I'm not just a traveler whose ship crashed. I'm important in my world. Very important. And the people looking for me are dangerous." Jake nodded slowly. "How dangerous?" "The kind that would destroy this entire world just to get to me." The weight of her words hit him immediately. "You're leaving today." "I have to. I should have left weeks ago, but I didn't want to. Because of us. Because of you and Emma. Because this has been the happiest time of my life." Jake reached out and took her hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, but her grip was strong. "We'll miss you like crazy, but you're doing the right thing. Emma and I will be okay. I know you will. You're the strongest person I've ever met, Jake Morrison. Me? I'm just a small-town mechanic. You're a father who would do anything for his child. You're a man who helps strangers without asking for payment. You're someone who sees problems and fixes them instead of complaining about them. In my world, we would call you a king among men." Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. "I'm just doing what needs doing." "Exactly." They heard Emma's feet on the stairs. Soon she would come down for breakfast, and Vera would have to break a little girl's heart by saying goodbye. But for now, they had a few more minutes of being a family. Emma cried for an hour after Vera left. Jake held his daughter on the porch swing, watching the spot where Vera's ship had disappeared into the morning sky. The ship had lifted silently, like something from a movie, before vanishing completely. Will she really come back, Dad? Emma asked through her tears. "I don't know, baby. I hope so." But Jake wasn't sure they would ever see Vera again. The way she had said goodbye, like someone go to war, made him think she might not survive whatever was waiting for her out there. Life tried to return to normal. Jake went back to fixing cars and trucks. Emma went to school and did her homework. But everything felt different now. Their little house seemed too quiet. Dinner felt empty with just two people at the table. Emma kept asking questions Jake couldn't answer. Where exactly did Vera come from? What kind of danger was she in? Why couldn't she stay and fight the bad guys here on Earth? "Because she's protecting us, Jake finally explained. "By leaving, she's keeping the fight away from our world." "That's not fair. We could have helped her." Sometimes helping someone means letting them go. But Jake found himself scanning the stars every night, hoping to see some sign of Vera's return. He had developed feelings for her that went deeper than friendship. She had become part of his family and part of his heart. 2 months after Vera left, strange things started happening. It began with Emma seeing lights in the sky that weren't there when Jake looked. She insisted she saw silver shapes moving between clouds, too fast to be airplanes. "Dad, there's another one." Emma pointed at the night sky during one of their porch talks. Jake looked up but saw only stars. "I don't see anything, sweetheart." It was there, a long silver ship like Vera's but smaller. Jake was starting to worry that Emma was imagining things because she missed Vera so much. But then other people in town began reporting strange sightings. Mrs. Patterson, who ran the grocery store, swore she saw something huge fly over her house without making any sound. Old Mr. Garcia claimed his radio picked up signals in languages that didn't sound human. Then the military showed up. Helicopters began flying regular patrols over the area. Jake noticed unmarked black SUVs parked along country roads, with men in suits watching the sky through binoculars. "Dad, why are there so many helicopters lately?" Emma asked. "Probably just training exercises," Jake said, but he didn't believe it himself. One evening, Jake was closing up his shop when a black car pulled into his driveway. 2 men in suits got out. They had that look Jake recognized from his Army days. Government agents. "Mr. Morrison?" "Agent Davis, FBI. We'd like to ask you a few questions." Jake's blood turned cold. "About what?" "About unusual activity in this area. Unexplained aircraft, strange lights, that sort of thing. I haven't seen anything unusual." Agent Davis smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Mr. Morrison, we have reports of a large unidentified object crashing in the woods behind your property about 2 months ago. We also have satellite images showing unusual energy signatures coming from this location. Jake kept his expression neutral. Like I said, I haven't seen anything. The second agent stepped forward. Mr. Morrison, if you're hiding something, it's in your best interest to cooperate. We're dealing with potential national security threats. The only thing I'm hiding is my desire for you gentlemen to get off my property. The agents exchanged glances. Agent Davis handed Jake a card. If you remember anything, give us a call. We'll be keeping an eye on this area. After they left, Jake called Emma inside and locked all the doors. That night, he lay awake wondering if he had done the right thing by lying to federal agents. But he had promised to protect Vera, even after she was gone. The next few weeks were tense. Government vehicles became a regular sight around town. Jake noticed his phone had a strange echo, and his internet seemed slower than usual. He suspected they were monitoring his communications. Emma was getting scared. The helicopters flew over their house every day now, sometimes hovering for minutes at a time. Dad, what if the bad guys find out Vera was here? What if they come looking for us? Jake hadn't thought about that possibility, but it made sense. If Vera's enemies were as dangerous as she said, they might investigate anyone who had contact with her. That night, Jake started making preparations. He moved his hunting rifles to easily accessible locations around the house. He stocked up on food and water. He even dug out his old army gear from the attic. Body armor, night vision goggles, tactical equipment he hadn't touched in years. Emma found him cleaning his pistol at the kitchen table. Are we in trouble, Dad? Jake looked at his 8-year-old daughter and made a decision. She deserved to know the truth. Maybe, baby. Vera was running from some very bad people. If they find out she was here, they might come looking for information about her. What kind of bad people? The kind that hurt people to get what they want. Emma's eyes went wide. Will you protect us? With my life. But, if something happens, if I tell you to run and hide, you do it immediately, okay? No questions, no arguing. Emma nodded solemnly. Jake hoped it wouldn't come to that, but his military training told him to prepare for the worst. 3 days later, the worst arrived. Jake woke up at 3 a.m. to a sound he had heard only once before, the deep, musical hum of Vera's ship engines. But this wasn't Vera's ship. The sound was different, harsher, more aggressive. Through his bedroom window, Jake saw 3 sleek craft hovering over his property. They were similar to Vera's ship, but smaller and darker, with weapons visible along their hulls. Jake grabbed his rifle and ran to Emma's room. She was already awake, sitting up in bed with frightened eyes. Dad, what's that noise? Get dressed, quickly. We need to go. But it was too late. Bright lights flooded the house from outside. A voice spoke in the alien language Jake had heard Vera use, amplified by some kind of speaker system. Then the voice switched to English, though the accent was different from Vera's. Colder and more commanding. Human dwelling occupant. We know the exile was here. Surrender information about her location, and you will not be harmed. Jake's blood ran cold. These were Vera's enemies, and they had found Earth. He helped Emma put on her shoes and jacket, then led her to the hidden basement storage room he had prepared. It was behind a false wall in their cellar, stocked with food, water, and communications equipment. Stay here, Em. Don't come out no matter what you hear, understand? Dad, I'm scared. I know, baby. But remember what I taught you about being brave. Being brave means doing what's right even when you're scared. That's right. I love you, Emma. I love you too, Dad. Jake sealed her in the hiding place and went back upstairs. Through his window, he could see figures moving around his property. Tall, armed beings in dark suits similar to what Vera wore. His phone was dead. His radio produced only static. They were jamming all communications. Jake checked his rifle and stepped onto his front porch. You're trespassing on private property, he called out. One of the alien figures approached. In the harsh lights from their ships, Jake could see it clearly. The being looked like Vera, but taller and thinner, with dark purple skin instead of blue. Its eyes glowed red instead of gold. Human, you'll provide information about the exile's location. I don't know what you're talking about. The alien tilted its head. You lie. We detected her ship's quantum signature at this location. We have records of extended energy expenditure suggesting repairs were made. You helped her." Jake's mind raced. They knew Vera had been here, but they didn't seem to know she was gone. "Like I said, I don't know what you're talking about." The alien raised a weapon Jake didn't recognize. "Your species is known for emotional attachment. Perhaps motivation is required." Two more aliens appeared from the sides of his house. They were dragging something between them. Agent Davis, unconscious and bleeding. This human was monitoring your communications. He is no longer useful to us. Provide information or watch him die. Jake's military training told him not to negotiate with terrorists, but his father's heart told him to protect innocent life. "Wait," he said. "Don't hurt him. I'll tell you what you want to know." The alien's red eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "Proceed." Jake took a deep breath and made a choice that would change everything. He was going to lie to buy time, and hoped somehow Vera would know her enemies had found Earth. "She's not here anymore," Jake said, "but I know where she went." In the hidden room below, Emma listened to her father's voice and prayed to every god she had ever heard of that Vera would come home soon. Above them all, more alien ships dropped out of hyperspace, turning Earth's sky into a battlefield that was about to begin. Jake stood on his porch, facing three armed aliens while Agent Davis lay bleeding in his yard. His mind raced as he tried to think a lie that would buy him time. "She went to the Centauri system," Jake said, naming the only star system he knew besides his own. Said something about hiding with allies there. The purple-skinned alien leader studied Jake with glowing red eyes. "You lie poorly, human. The exile has no allies in that region. Look, I'm just a mechanic." She didn't tell me much, just that she was going somewhere safe. The alien raised its weapon higher. "Your deception is—" A new sound filled the air. Different engines, familiar and welcome. Jake's heart leaped as he recognized the musical hum of Vera's ship. But it wasn't alone. The sky exploded with light as dozens of ships dropped out of hyperspace above Jake's property. Vera's silver vessel led a fleet of massive warships that dwarfed the three dark ships on the ground. The alien leader snarled something in its own language. Its companions immediately raised their weapons toward Jake. "You will die for this deception," the leader hissed. Before Jake could move, a beam of golden light struck all three aliens simultaneously. They collapsed instantly, their weapons clattering to the ground. Jake looked up to see Vera's ship hovering directly overhead. A new voice boomed from speakers across the fleet, speaking in the alien language. The tone was commanding, absolute. Jake didn't understand the words, but their effect was immediate. The three dark ships powered down their weapons, and landing lights came on across the fleet. Vera's ship landed gently in Jake's yard. The door opened and she stepped out, but she looked different now. Her simple clothes had been replaced by elaborate robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. A crown of some crystalline material rested on her silver hair. Most importantly, armed guards flanked her on both sides. But when she saw Jake, her formal expression melted into relief and joy. "Jake, are you hurt?" "I'm fine. Emma's safe too." But they grabbed Agent Davis. Vera gestured to one of her guards, who immediately went to check on the unconscious FBI agent. "He will live. My forces stunned the assassins before they could cause permanent harm." Jake stared at the fleet filling the sky. "Vera, what is all this? Who are you really?" Vera's golden eyes met his. "I am Empress Vera Almani, ruler of the Galactic Imperium. And these assassins just made the mistake of threatening someone under my personal protection." Jake's legs nearly gave out. "Empress? You're the ruler of— how big is your empire?" 47 star systems, 312 inhabited worlds, approximately 2 trillion citizens. Jake sat down hard on his porch steps. "And you were fixing my sink last week." Despite everything, Vera smiled. That sink was more challenging than most Imperial budgets. Emma's voice came from behind Jake. She had climbed out of her hiding spot and was staring at the ships overhead with wide eyes. "Vera, you came back. And you brought friends." Vera knelt down as Emma ran to her. The sight of the most powerful being in the galaxy hugging his 8-year-old daughter was surreal. I promised I would try to return, little one. Are those really spaceships? Can I see inside one? Emma, Jake said weakly. Vera is apparently the space empress of everything. Emma looked at Vera with newfound awe. Really? That's so cool. Do you have a crown and everything? Vera touched the crystal circlet on her head. I do now. I didn't wear it much before. Why not? Because I learned from your father that true leadership means taking care of people, not just wearing symbols of power. One of Vera's guards approached and spoke to her in the alien language. She nodded and turned back to Jake. I must deal with the assassins and secure this area. But Jake, we need to talk. My return to power has complications. Over the next hour, Jake watched in amazement as Vera's forces established a temporary base around his property. The 3 assassin ships were seized. The unconscious agents were treated by alien medics who seemed to know exactly how human biology worked. Agent Davis woke up confused but unharmed. When he saw the alien fleet, he immediately started reaching for his phone. I wouldn't, Jake advised. I don't think your bosses are equipped to handle the situation. Vera approached them both. Agent Davis, your government will be contacted through proper diplomatic channels. For now, this area is under Imperial protection. Imperial protection? Davis stammered. What does that mean? It means Earth is now a protected world under the Galactic Imperium. No hostile forces may approach the system without our permission. Jake pulled Vera aside. What does that mean for us? For Earth, it means you're safe. But Jake, there's something else. The reason I was able to return with a fleet, the reason I now have the power to protect Earth, it's complicated. That evening, after the immediate crisis had passed, Vera explained everything to Jake and Emma over dinner at his kitchen table. It felt strange having a conversation about galactic politics while eating Jake's homemade chili. My father was the emperor, Vera began. When I crashed here, he was dying and my enemies were trying to prevent my return. They wanted to claim the throne for themselves. So you went back to fight them? Emma asked. Yes, but when I arrived, I discovered something important. My time here with both of you had changed me. I understood things about leadership that I had never learned in the palace. Jake refilled her coffee cup. What kind of things? That power should be used to protect people, not control them. That the best leaders are those who serve others, like you serve Emma and your community. That strength comes from caring about others more than yourself. And that helped you beat the bad guys? Vera smiled at Emma's simple way of putting it. In a way, yes. My enemies expected me to return angry and desperate. Instead, I returned calm and focused. I had learned patience from watching your father work. I had learned compassion from seeing how you two care for each other. So you won. I did. But Emma, being Empress means I have responsibilities to trillions of people across the galaxy. I cannot abandon them, even though I would rather stay here with you. Jake felt his heart sink. So you're leaving again? Not exactly. Vera's expression grew hopeful. Jake, my empire needs skilled engineers and advisors. People who understand that problems should be solved, not ignored. People who put others before themselves. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you both a place in my government. Emma could receive the finest education in the galaxy. You could help me spread the values you show me to worlds that desperately need them. Emma bounced in her chair. Does that mean we get to live on spaceships? We would have a home on the Imperial capital world. But yes, there would be much traveling to different planets. Jake looked around his small kitchen, then at his daughter's excited face. What would I do? I'm just a mechanic. You would be my chief technical advisor, the man who taught me that the best solutions are often the simplest ones. Jake, I've already begun implementing programs across the Empire based on what I learned here. Support for single parents, protection for children, fair wages for people who work with their hands. You did that because of us? I did that because you show me what a good society looks like. But I need help to keep these programs working correctly. I need someone I trust completely. Jake was quiet for a long moment. What about my shop? This house? This is Emma's home. The house will be preserved exactly as it is. And Jake, There will always be things that need fixing, no matter which planet you're on. Emma tugged on her father's sleeve. Dad, we can help people on lots of different worlds. And I could learn about space and aliens and everything. Jake looked at his daughter's bright, hopeful face. Then he looked at Vera, the woman who had become family to them, who had learned about love and sacrifice in his small house. If we said yes, could we visit her sometimes? Whenever you wanted. This world is under Imperial protection now. It will always be safe. And Emma would really get a good education, the best in the galaxy. She could study anything she wanted, science, art, languages, history of hundreds of different worlds. Jake made his decision. Em, what do you think? Want to go see the stars? Emma threw her arms around both of them. Yes, this is the best day ever. Later that night, after Emma had fallen asleep excited about their new adventure, Jake and Vera sat on the porch one last time. Are you sure about this? Jake asked, taking us with you? Jake, you fix more than just my ship. You fixed something broken inside me. You showed me what it means to lead with love instead of fear. I need that wisdom with me. I'm scared I won't be good enough for something so important. Vera took his hand. You're good enough exactly as you are. That's why this will work. Jake squeezed her hand and looked up at the stars. Tomorrow they would be among them. His small life was about to become very large indeed. Vera, yes. When we get to your empire, can I still fix things with my hands? She laughed, and the sound was like music in the night air. Jake Morrison, I'm counting on it. 6 months later, Jake stood on the observation deck of the Imperial Palace, looking down at a city that stretched beyond the horizon. Flying vehicles moved between towers that reached toward the clouds. 3 suns hung in an alien sky, casting everything in golden light. He still couldn't quite believe this was his life now. Dad, look what I learned today. Emma's voice came from behind him. Jake turned to see his daughter floating 3 feet off the ground, surrounded by a shimmering field of energy. A tall, blue-skinned alien woman stood beside her, smiling proudly. Emma Morrison, you must inform your father before using gravitic manipulation. The alien said in perfect English. Sorry, Teacher Kala. Dad, isn't this cool? I can fly. Jake's heart nearly stopped. Emma, get down from there right now. It's perfectly safe, Mr. Morrison. Teacher Kala assured him. The gravitic field is controlled by her thoughts and emotions. She has remarkable natural ability. Emma gently settled back to the floor. At 8 years old, she was learning things that would have seemed like magic just 6 months ago. She spoke 3 alien languages fluently and could operate technology that Earth's best scientists wouldn't understand for centuries. But she was still his little girl who needed her hair braided and her lunch packed. How was your day, Dad? Interesting. I helped design a new water purification system for the Zephyr colonies. Turns out the same principles that work for cleaning engine oil work pretty well for alien bacteria, too. It was true. Jake's simple, practical approach to problem-solving had made him one of Vera's most valued advisors. While other engineers created complex solutions, Jake found ways to fix things using basic principles that work anywhere in the galaxy. And tomorrow? Tomorrow we're visiting the Kepler system. They're having trouble with their power grid, and Vera thinks I might have some ideas. Emma grinned. Can I come? I want to see the crystal forest Teacher Kala told me about. We'll see. Ask Vera at dinner. They walked through corridors lined with art from hundreds of different worlds. Jake still felt overwhelmed sometimes by the sheer scale of everything. But Vera had been right. No matter how advanced the technology, things still broke the same way, and they could still be fixed if you thought about them correctly. The hardest part had been learning to think bigger. On Earth, Jake had worried about fixing one car, paying one electric bill, taking care of one daughter. Now he helped make decisions that affected entire planets. But Vera had taught him that the principles were the same. Take care of people. Solve problems instead of ignoring them. Be honest about what you know and what you don't know. They found Vera in her office, reviewing reports from across the Empire. She wore simpler clothes now than when she had first revealed her identity, still elegant but more practical. Jake had convinced her that people followed leaders they could relate to, not distant figures in elaborate costumes. "How are my favorite humans today?" she asked, looking up from her work. "Emma wants to come to Kepler tomorrow," Jake said. "The Crystal Forest would be educational," Vera agreed. "And the Keplerian children would love to meet her." Emma bounced on her toes. "Really? Are there kids on every planet?" "Almost every planet. And they all love meeting the daughter of my chief technical advisor." Jake sat down across from Vera's desk. "Any word from Earth?" "All quiet. The protection fleet reports no hostile activity in the system. Your world continues to develop naturally." One of Jake's conditions for accepting Vera's offer had been that Earth be left alone to grow at its own pace. No advanced technology, no alien contact beyond what had already happened. Humanity would find its own way to the stars eventually. "Agent Davis sends his regards, by the way," Vera added. "The FBI has classified the entire incident. As far as official records are concerned, you and Emma moved away for personal reasons." "Good. I'd hate for them to think we were abducted by aliens. Technically, you were invited by aliens." "Big difference." Emma had been listening to their conversation while playing with a small device that projected holographic butterflies into the air. "Vera, do you ever miss being normal?" she asked suddenly. Vera paused in reviewing her reports. "What do you mean, little one?" "Before you were Empress, when you lived with us and made pancakes and helped Dad fix cars. Do you miss when things were simple?" Jake watched Vera consider the question. It was something he wondered about, too. Had they made the right choice in coming here? "Emma, do you know what I was doing today before you and your father arrived?" "Empress stuff?" "I was approving new schools for the Outer Rim colonies. Schools where children like you can learn and play safely, instead of working in dangerous mines." Emma's eyes grew wide. "There were kids working in mines?" "There were, but not anymore, because your father taught me that protecting children should be every leader's first priority." "Dad did that." "He did, by showing me how much he loved you, how hard he worked to keep you safe and happy. I learned that a leader's job is to be a parent to all their people." Jake felt heat rise in his cheeks. "I just did what any father would do." "Exactly. And now millions of children across the galaxy have better lives because of what I learned watching you be a father." Emma looked thoughtful. "So, helping people here helps kids everywhere?" "Yes." "Then I don't want to go back to Earth. I want to stay here and help too." That evening, the three of them had dinner on Vera's private balcony, watching the triple sunset paint the sky in colors that didn't exist on Earth. Emma fell asleep in Jake's lap, tired from a day of learning how to manipulate gravity and speak to computer intelligences. "She's adapting well," Vera said quietly. "Better than I am. Sometimes. Yesterday, I asked a food synthesizer for a cheeseburger and accidentally ordered something that tried to crawl off the plate." Vera laughed. "The translation protocols are still learning human cuisine preferences. Speaking of which, I've been thinking about something." "Oh." Jake looked out at the alien city below them, then at Vera. "You said once that in your world, I would be called a king among men." "You are. But I'm not royalty. I'm just a guy who fixes things and loves his daughter." "Jake, what is royalty? Is it about bloodlines and inherited titles? Or is it about serving others and making their lives better?" "I always thought it was about being born special." "You were born special. You were born with the ability to see problems and solve them. You were born with a heart that puts others first. Emma was born with the curiosity to learn anything and the kindness to care about everyone she meets." Jake was quiet for a moment. "So you're saying we belong here?" "I'm saying you make this place better by being here. Just like you made my life better by letting me be part of your family. Even though I still can't figure out how to use the shower controls. Especially because of that. It reminded me to keep things simple." A year later, Jake was known throughout the Imperium as a human engineer who could fix anything. Emma was learning advanced mathematics from computer teachers, while also teaching alien children how to play Earth games like tag and hide and seek. But the best part was still the small moments. Vera still helped Emma with her homework. Jake still tucked his daughter into bed every night, even if that bed was now in a palace among the stars. And sometimes late at night, The three of them would sit together and talk about their day, just like they used to do on Jake's back porch. "Dad," Emma said one evening as Jake was reading her a story, "do you think we'll ever go back to Earth to live?" "Would you want to?" Emma considered the question seriously. "I miss our old house, and I miss the woods behind your shop, but I like helping people here too. What if I told you we could do both?" "What do you mean?" Jake smiled. "Vera and I have been talking. She thinks it might be good for the Imperium to have a representative on Earth, someone to keep an eye on things and make sure our home planet stays safe." "You mean we could go back sometimes?" "We could spend part of each year there. I could reopen my shop. You could go to school with human kids for a while. And we can make sure Earth stays the kind of place that teaches people how to be good to each other." Emma's eyes lit up. "Really? We could have 2 homes." "If you want." "That would be perfect, Dad." Later, after Emma was asleep, Jake found Vera on her office balcony, working under the light of 3 moons. "Busy day?" he asked. "Always, but good busy. The new education programs are working well. Crime rates are down across 17 systems. And we've had 3 new worlds asked to join the Imperium peacefully. All because you learned how to make pancakes perfectly round. All because I learned that leadership means caring about people more than power." Jake sat beside her and looked up at the alien constellations. "You know, when Emma asked if we'd ever go back to Earth, I realized something." "What's that?" "Home isn't a place. It's the people you care about." Vera reached over and took his hand. "So we're already home." "Yeah, we are." Above them, ships from a dozen different worlds moved through the night sky, carrying trade goods and messages between the stars. And in a small repair shop on a distant blue planet, Jake's old toolbox waited patiently for his return. Because some things never change, no matter how far you traveled among the stars. Things broke, people needed help, and families took care of each other. Jake Morrison had learned that these simple truths were the foundation of everything good in the universe. And that was enough to build an empire on.